that was on. Okay. Now we're recording.
Well, you want to put this in there?
Huh?
You want to put this in there?
Well, just hang on. We got to welcome everybody back to the Farmer Talk podcast. I think we're on like episode 7. Almost made it 2 whole months.
Gee, but the Christmas.
Yep.
The big question is, will there be an episode 8?
We'll see. We'll see. So it could be worse. We could be like Zach and Randy. They went on Farm for Profit podcast, and in the middle of the broadcast, they were live streaming it on TikTok, and their TikTok got banned. Like the Farm for Profit TikTok was completely banned in the middle of that stream. So I don't know. They don't really know either, but they lost several 100,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
So after you guys listen to this episode, not before you get done, go over and give those guys a follow. They did make a new TikTok account. If TikTok is your jam, if not, I don't blame you. I'm not a huge TikToker either, but I do like the Farm for Profit guys. Pretty good podcast, so go check that out at some point. But today's episode, we are going to talk about a little bit of farm show recap. So
Tell us all about it, because I was not there.
that was one of the main questions, is why we didn't have you there.
Someone had to stay home and work.
That's what we told them.
I didn't hear that you told them that.
I told him he was hauling corn.
Yeah.
Brian did that.
I told them that BJ was faking an injury and staying home for vacation.
I was hauling my happy ass to the toilet about every 2 hours.
Well, okay. We're getting graphic here.
Yeah.
You asked.
You know, but
They won't let me drink beers. So I got,
Do you need help getting that open? Or?
yeah, I got it.
Okay.
well, Dad just got over his bout of whatever BJ had, the demon that he had. Anyways, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the farm show recap and farm shows in general. Are they still a viable thing? Do we see them going on the outs? But before we get into that, Dad wants to start doing a segment every Sunday from Successful Farming Vintage 1916. So if you don't know what we're talking about, my grandfather was a collector of all things, a hoarder, if you will. And one of the things he had been given a rental house. As weird as that sounds, I believe it was willed to him. And in that rental house, there was a Successful Farming magazine from 1916. My uncle was going through some of Grandpa's stuff, seen that, and thought that Dad would be the perfect person to give it to. And it is interesting to read. So, Dad, what is today's segment from 1916?
Well, what I looked through today about old cars.
Old cars.
How many cars back then? And this is just some that I seen. I didn't see. I got we also got one Farm Journal. It was 1926, I believe.
This is the oldest one we
But
have.
this is the oldest one. I should look
There's
at
one
it.
older than 1916 in there, isn't there?
I think that's about it.
Oh,
I think we found out
And I was
that they
going
started
through-
in
I
1913.
had to look at it this morning, go through it, I
08,
didn't, but
I believe.
just looking through it here, I found there was a 1916 Maxwell. I've always heard of the Maxwell.
Wasn't that the
That
Willy
was kind
Wonka?
of a- pardon?
Isn't that the Willy
Was that
Wonka
the
car?
Wonka-mobile?
That was kind of, I guess.
Remember, there was a guy in Chillicothe that had a Maxwell we looked at.
Yeah. It was.
It was in 1916, I
He
believe.
won more than $850 for it, too, or $595 for it, too.
We could also kept it since 1916.
But the touring car, they made 2 of them. It looks like a roaster and a touring car.
He had a touring car. Remember that?
It had a back rumble seat, didn't it?
I thought his was a
Just a
open
real open
carriage
thing,
all the way
okay.
back through with wood tire wheels.
$595 what it costs new.
A brand new
Detroit,
vehicle.
Brand new. The roaster was $580
Ooh, stepping it up.
in Maxwell Motor Company in Detroit.
So is that the car? Neither one of you going to be able to answer this. There used to be a cartoon when I was a kid, and it had Mr. Toad, and he drove around on some touring car with a big rumble seat in the back. I'm assuming that's what it was.
Well, I think that was a pretty
Lot of-
common style
yeah.
at that
The
particular
Fords,
point.
the old Ford Model A's had that.
Yeah.
But it also found a Rio. They made 6 cars and 2 trucks, and it was the Rio Motor Company in Detroit. I didn't see no prices on it, but probably about the same.
I did. It was $795, I think.
$795.
I think that's what the Rio was in here. I thought I saw that.
Okay, then there was what was that one? I can't read my own writing.
No way. Saxon.
Saxon, that's what.
Saxon 6.
6 touring car for 5 people. So it was a little, I
The
don't know,
SUV
fancy.
of 1916.
Yeah, it must have been a little fancier because it was $815.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then there's an Overland.
Good money back then.
I found an Overland, 35 horse, electric start. So I assume these others maybe weren't electric start.
I thought this was,
Crank, maybe.
I assume they were all cranks back then. I thought this was a Successful Farming, not an Auto Trader.
There's
they
as
advertise.
long as there's been autos, there's been an auto trader.
Well, it's
Yeah.
there's
well,
not.
it's just advertising.
What came first, the auto trader or the auto? It's like the
But it
chicken
was
and the egg.
electric start, and it was $7.95. And I'd never seen. I think in the other book, I'll have to look. If people want to hear it, there was a Plymouth in there, then the Chevrolet and the Fords were in there, and I think I seen an International truck maybe in the other. But I'll have to look, and maybe on the next one I'll look him up, and I'll get back on the next one. Talk about
It's pretty handy. You can buy a car for what you can put a set of tires on my truck for now.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you guys want to hear any more of the successful farming segment, be sure to drop us a comment in the YouTube channel, Farmer Talk. That's the easiest way for us to see feedback on the podcast. So, yeah, check that out if you are so inclined. Otherwise, this will be available on any podcast platform. Speaking of the podcast, that was one thing we did hear quite a bit of positive feedback at the farm show. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to judge a podcast how it's doing, at least I think it is, compared to a YouTube channel, in that you just see a number of times people have played it on a podcast hosting site, but you don't really get to see any interactions. So pretty cool to be able to talk to people about it. Dad, what did you think of this year's Louisville Farm Show?
Well, it was busy, and I think everybody agreed that.
It did seem
It
like
was
attendance
busy,
was up a
busy.
little bit.
And I'd seen in some book, maybe the highest it's been since COVID, before that. But the later days there, boy, Friday, you could barely walk through any of them aisles. But it was a good show. I think everybody was upbeat.
Yeah.
The vendors, I think, were really happy.
Yeah, I thought attendance-wise was better than it has been in the last couple of years for sure. I know one thing I hear some of the vendors mention is, are the people at that show tire kickers or are they purchasers? I think they kind of lose sight that a lot of times people are going there to kick tires, which may lead to a purchase, though.
Sure.
I kind of,
I've heard of those people referred to as gopher whistles.
yep. What's that go for?
What's that gopher? I can't whistle. There you go.
Yep. Yeah, I think the companies still need to not lose sight of those shows, though, and kind of write them off. I've kind of heard some, I mean, because of the YouTube channel, we get a little bit closer relationship with some of the reps and stuff that some people get, and you hear some of them complaining about farm shows in general, but like I just said, about the quality of contacts you're making. But I think if you don't go to those shows, people just assume you don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to one guy, one of the vendors go to the, I think, Fort Wayne in Indiana show. Said it was really a nice show.
When is that show?
And it's in before Christmas.
Okay.
I think me and your mom went one time, and that's been years ago. But he said a lot of people was down on the shows, but he said that was really a good show and a lot of interest this year.
And that was before Christmas. That was
Yeah,
early December.
yeah.
Okay.
One thing I don't like is all the, well, for example, John Deere. There's Deere reps at that booth, but for the most part, it is not nearly the John Deere corporate presence as at Louisville as it used to be. It is now run by a John Deere dealership.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I wish it was still, I understand they can't do that for every show, but to me, Louisville and Farm Progress Show are the bigger shows in the United States.
So I wasn't there. Our friends at AGCO, wasn't it kind of the same thing, though?
Yeah, I mean,
AgRev,
I'm just using John Deere as an example,
Sure.
but they're all that way.
It's
They
becoming
still
more
had-
and more common.
There were still company guys there, though. So that's-
Sure.
I'm sure there was at the Deere booth, too. We just didn't
yeah.
go into it
Well,
very
Van
much.
was there, and there was other company guys, and AGCO, same thing. So long as the company that sends reps, it's, I think that's going to be the fad, because it just why move that machinery, clear across the country and move it out of there and let the dealers inventory it in, and if they're big enough dealers.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of expense just sunk into
and
the
I'd
shows,
say
just moving stuff.
saved a lot of money and got the dealer. I'm sure Deere probably paid for some of it, or whoever.
Yeah, that is another thing that I feel is kind of ridiculous is the price of those shows. I mean, I've heard some numbers from people in, like, for the big equipment manufacturers, you're talking millions of dollars. Maybe not for their booth lot, but by the time they pay their rental fee for their booth lot, they pay their trucking fees to get their machinery there. They pay their employees to be there. They pay their expense accounts to be there. I mean, they do sink a lot of money into those shows, and I understand that's why some of them, kind of question, is it worth it? But I think at the end of the day, it is still worth it. I know we did not buy anything there other than a sandwich. But, for example, we have a sprayer coming off lease this year, and one of the things we were looking at that farm machinery show are sprayers, because every sprayer that we would be interested in, except for Oxbow, because they don't go to that show, which I think is a huge
But there was a sign. I couldn't figure that out. There was a sign. Big,
But anyways, every other sprayer company's there, so it's just an
Pretty much
easy.
everyone was
pretty
represented.
well.
Yeah.
Pretty well listed.
I mean, I think Oxbow in particular, I think they miss out. They we like to go to the Maggie show. The Maggie show is great. That is a
So that's geared more toward
co-ops.
commercial
Yeah.
applicators.
You know how many farmers go to the Maggie show? Not many. I think they're missing out. I mean, that's just an example of a company that has wrote that show off and doesn't go, and I think they're missing the boat. I think most people don't even know Oxbow sprayers exist.
No, a lot of people. I've had people. Well, who makes that? Oxbow. Who's Oxbow?
Yep.
And then you tell them that they make vegetable pickers and things, and okay, I've heard of
Yeah,
it.
that kind of rings the bell.
So yeah, but they're not into spraying and floaters and that yet, but they're getting there, wanting to.
Yeah. So how have you seen the farm shows change much since? I mean, you've been going to Louisville since it
I've
started.
went Louisville since they practically started. I think it started '67, and we went started '71 or so. And has it changed? Just the buildings.
I mean, same
It gets
atmosphere.
bigger every year. It gets bigger every year. More vendors.
So in '71, were they still doing tractor pulls?
Oh, that was startup. Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
One of the first ones I remember was a guy got killed down there.
Ooh.
That's the tractor reared back over on top of it, and that's when they put wheelie bars on. I think it was '67 or '60. I remember Paul was there. Brad's dad was down there. He called me and told me about it because he was stationed right there at Fort Knox. But anyway, it was always tractor pulls. That's what bring people. But back then, you could. They had hospitality. I think Stauffer and some of the chemical companies would sponsor the tractor pull. That was big. They'd have hospitality suites for their customers. And boy, that was nice because you could go there and get all the food you wanted and all liquid refreshments you wanted too.
So I've never been to the tractor pull as an adult, but I can remember I rode down with Joey Lane.
Yeah.
Me and Joey's son rode the back seat of his car all the way to Louisville. It seemed like a 3-day adventure back then when you were a kid. You know how every trip takes longer. And I remember it seemed like we sat clear up at the top of that convention center or whatever to watch a tractor pull.
Towards the
Just
top.
couldn't see from the smoke.
We had season tickets every year. There was a dozen of us or maybe more that went every show. We never missed one. Then we got older and got tartar, I guess. And time you go out and eat, you had to, we never went out and eat until after tractor pull when it was late. But I don't think it's quite as popular as it was. But it still
sells out.
I think the Saturday one show is. I think
it still sells out every night.
does it
So
sell? Okay.
from my perch on my couch, I saw people on Facebook requesting
Tickets.
Tickets.
That's good.
Oh,
I mean, a few years there they did. Several years they did.
yeah, a couple years ago, I remember the guy from the accounting software. He was trying to give them away.
Yeah.
Couldn't get rid of them.
So you say you haven't been. I went one time as an adult. One of my best friends. I mean, he still goes to every one of them. And you're saying it. I hear from him at 11:30 because that's when the ship polls are all over. They're over at 11, I think. And I went with him one time. And personally, I'd rather just watch the highlights on YouTube and go out to eat and socialize and whatnot.
When they started there, they didn't have the smoke thing.
Oh, wow.
My God,
Was it still Freedom
That's what
Hall?
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, the smoke would just hang.
It would just
You couldn't
hang, and you couldn't
anything.
see. If you was up the top, you was just black when you went out there.
So was it still Freedom Hall then? Or was
Oh,
it,
yeah.
As in the older?
Yeah,
What's the?
Freedom Hall? And they played basketball in there like a night or two before that, or that week before. See,
Well, I remember, didn't Kentucky used to play there?
Louisville,
yeah.
Yeah, they used
I don't think
they
they
still
still play?
have like their stuff.
but they don't now.
Like their Hall of Fame stuff used to be in that corridor.
I think they got their own.
What is the other stadium where they line up the tractors?
That's Broadbank or Bit.
What do they do in that one?
That's where they stage them.
But I mean, did
Like
they
you
ever
come
used to?
in,
Did the polls ever
That
used to
might
be
have
there?
been like Louisville University's like hockey arena, maybe.
Could be
Because it's not very
something like
big.
No.
Show, I don't know. But they pull them in there at night. They pull them in there when they
Yeah, I know what they
load 'em.
do. I didn't know
Keep 'em warmed
back
up
then
and
if they.
work all
So
over.
if anybody knows the history of those two buildings, let us know.
I didn't know if that's where they pulled.
No, that building was there. That was
So
relevant
was Freedom Hall there when you first started going?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But that other building was there. I don't know where they put them in a different building or then or not because that building is.
So the original
Halfway new.
layout of that show was it just the West Wing and Freedom Hall?
No, it was just like it is today. Oh, the two new ones.
Well, the
were
South
old
and North
buildings.
Wing weren't there, were they?
Yes.
They were just different.
The West Wing and the East Wing was identical. Then you had that North Wing, where they built a new East Wing, which is 10 times bigger.
The East Wing's new now.
Well,
I
it's,
mean the South Wing?
the south wing.
That's where the Unverford lot is.
Well, yeah, yeah.
South Wing's the big building we come into.
That's the main building.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
I call the other side of the place the dungeon.
But the other one was just like that one. The other side was just like that.
Okay.
Before they built on. And then that, of course, that north one there where
Yeah.
it was the old two. Then they started building on. And when they did that, then there's more vendors and it become bigger. Yeah, but it's a premier show outside the one in Europe, I guess.
Yeah. So when you guys used to go when you were younger, I mean, was it a social event or were you going there for purchasing?
Both.
Okay.
It's pretty much, it's a nice social event. Like I say, you get
Like it
attracted
is
to
now, probably.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Is it changed much or is it still the same atmosphere? I mean,
The only thing that's changed is he's got more gray.
It's our vacation. It's our vacation.
well, I think a lot of people that go there, it's still their vacation.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that sets that show apart from a lot of the other ones. It's a huge show, and it's in a dead time of the year.
So my wife takes vacation for National Farm Machinery Show, and I had to hear about that all week while I was laying on the couch.
But then it got to, when we got older, the group didn't go because all the kids, everybody kids, they were older. So everybody just kind of lost interest and gone.
God, I remember.
That's a hard thing. I've got Landon's in high school with. I mean, we were going to come down a day late because of basketball.
Yeah.
Then I got sick, so it didn't work out. But
then
schedule stuff around that kind
it's
of
hard
thing.
to get room, but they got a camp. You can take camper right outside the west wing. So we started taking the camper down there, and that was the best. And today, that's what I would rather do. I mean, if I was going by my, that's what I would do because you can walk around, you get tired, you can go back and sit down for 10 minutes, get something to eat, and go.
So the last few years, we've been pretty fortunate. We've done meet and greets with Underfirth, and they've always got us a room at the Crown Plaza, which is right beside the South Wing. I think it would be a further walk from the South Wing to where your camper used to be than what it is from the South Wing to where our hotel room is.
Yeah, but you're going through the other wing.
So
with
let me tell you, last year Rachel and I made that walk on the first day.
I made it every day.
You didn't take the little shuttle bus.
Well, usually I'd stay so late, the shuttle bus was hauling people to the polls. The Underfirth crew all walk every morning.
That's crazy.
They had to
That's
walk
for
off
people that
there.
are in good shape.
They had to walk off there
The night before.
the night before.
I don't know what
I
you're
could
talking.
wake up,
Don't know what you're talking
walk
about.
off some cobwebs.
Them guys are good.
Networking.
Great,
Yes.
Yeah, networking.
great group of guys.
Yep.
But the campground, that's neat, and talk to other farmers. Everybody, same boats. Some of them that was their vacation.
I can remember being a kid going with you to shows, and I swore you knew everybody.
Yeah, it felt like when I was little, we stopped and talked a whole lot more than we walked.
Yeah.
I remember going to the Farm Science Review, which is our local show, and I hated it. Not because I didn't like going to the show, but
You
Dad.
didn't like going to farm science?
I loved the show, but Dad would stop and talk, and then
It's no different now.
you'd get to stand in. Well, now we got a golf cart.
Yeah.
Get to stand in there and just not moving, and
Yeah, a lot of vendors.
Be talking
I knew
ab-
them, and now
talking
it's-
about plumbing
a lot of them
fittings.
gone. They're not there.
So when was when did the power show? Was that before? Or?
the Columbus Power
Yeah,
Show.
the Ohio Power Show.
It started.
Was that
I know back
before
in
or
the
after?
70s. No, it was probably 80s, 78. I don't
Okay,
know.
so it came on
It was
later.
a long time.
That
It
was like the
just-
pregame for Louisville
But it
because
just
it was in January, right?
then it just got more.
It became a lawnmower
Became a
show.
lawnmower show when I was
and then they finally
an adult.
quit. The farmers quit.
I don't know when they finally shut it down.
I went to it a few times.
Pre-COVID, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say 15, 16 was probably.
I remember going up there as a kid and thinking, man, this is a
Yeah.
nice big show. And
Yeah.
So, as a kid, going to all these shows, one of the things that has changed, they used to give out free tobacco.
yes.
Well, I can remember being a kid watching all the adults go to these tobacco trailers and thinking, my time's coming.
Yes.
I think one year I was 18, and then after that, it was gone. It didn't exist anymore.
So I'm old enough that you didn't necessarily have to be 18. You just had to look like you had a little bit of fuzz growing.
Oh, they would take your driver's license.
Good, good stricter.
Yeah. I remember Dad would bring back this clear bag, and it'd be just stuffed full of samples of every
Yes.
kind of
Leave
tobacco
mine here.
covered.
I never chewed until I went down there. I got enough.
Did you ever
to
realize
last about
where the-
halfway through summer, and that was it.
Did you ever realize what happened to the brands that you didn't chew?
Me and BJ took
Yeah,
them.
that was us.
I guess so.
I
Yeah.
remember they started giving them out in thin cans instead
Oh,
of
yeah,
like a
like-
thick
yeah, I
regular
remember those, yeah.
skull can. Yep. Yeah, but like I said, by the time I was 20, it didn't exist anymore. They quit doing that. But although this year, I did. What's the?
Zen.
Yes, there was a Zen trailer
nicotine
there.
pouches or whatever.
There was a Zen trailer
So
there.
how is that different than tobacco?
I don't know if they were giving out samples. It was in the food court of the West Wing. There was a Zen trailer.
Okay, so that's just straight nicotine in a bag. I don't know what the difference.
I don't know.
I guess I'd rather get my nicotine from a leaf if I was still doing that kind of thing. But
Yep. I don't know.
But the indoor shows like that in Louisville, it don't make any difference what the weather is. If it's real bad weather, it slow it down. The people, but still, farmers,
years ago,
farmers gonna get out.
the weather didn't slow you and Mom down
No.
years ago. Hell, you guys were down there in snowstorms, ice storms.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you guys called one year and said you didn't know if you were going to make it home in time for Saturday or whatever.
I
the
know when
ice.
the group went down, we had that little motorhome. It was a GMC front wheel drive and tandem wheels in the back, and we'd all pile on that thing, all dozen or so. And that was our transportation. And I know that one night, he's all the time working down at Louisville on the road system. And we was going to the polls, went back to the motel room, and it was going to the polls.
Why didn't you call Uber?
Yeah. And going to the polls, I remember the traffic was stop and go. We got on this one little grade there, and when pull it spun out. So I think Mark was driving, but whoever drives it. Somebody said, everybody in the front. So everybody gets up and goes to the front. We run right on up the hill.
Yeah.
But that's everybody looks forward to Louisville, I think.
Yeah, I still like Louisville quite a bit. I have a good time down there. And
If nothing else, it breaks up the winter.
yeah. I know we're going there, and then we're having an accounting meeting.
And Louisville is kind of like, you've gotten through the winter, and once you get back from Louisville, that's when you start really getting in gear to get things done.
Get things done.
Yeah.
Another bad part.
What the hell we been doing this weekend?
Yeah, other bad part of
Getting
coming
things
back
done.
is goddamn taxes.
That's what I mean. Usually, so farmers don't pay quarterly taxes, but we do have to have our income tax in March 1st.
We think.
As far as I know, we're still paying taxes
so.
this year. But anyways, we always have our accountant meeting the week after Little. So that's the only downside of that is we're going to Louisville.
So damn bright in here.
It's a little bright. A little bright. So when did you start going to Farm Progress Show? I remember you going with Mom to that.
We went probably in the 90s. It was still going around and around to 3 different states when it would come
I
to
don't
Indiana.
remember you guys doing that.
When it come
I
to
do.
Indiana,
I don't remember in the 90s, but I remember when they got the new motor.
we
on
got the
the
motor. Okay, they went back up.
I remember like the
That was-
Grand Tour was the year that you went to the Dakotas and visited the Hefty Boys.
That was later. It was probably
I
when we
understand
had
it was
the
later. I just
when we bought our first one, or maybe second one. So that'd been 97 probably. I remember when we got the newer one, the diesel pusher in 2002. I think that's the first year out too. We went to it. It was in Indiana, but that year it rained, and that's what I felt sorry for and that's probably what hurts the shows and why they're not wanting to go to them. Is because they get a big heavy rain, they have to cancel them the day.
Yeah.
And I know that day we went, the second day we got there, and it was mud everywhere. They pushed the roadways. They didn't have a permanent site back then. It was just out in the field. They took loader and pushed the mud out so people walked through it.
Jeez.
But you would park campers just out in the cornfield.
is that the year you said you guys went in the middle of the night? People were leaving.
So we got there, went to the show, and I thought, well, we was there about all day, got there early. And we didn't go way up toward the show to park where the rest of it was. There was a kind of a high spot there where we pulled off the road, so we camped there, parked there. I thought, well, if it rains, we can get out. It's soft. Said it was grassy, so we parked there and went to the show. And I thought, well, I'd like to see something else. We'll leave early in the morning. After we go a little bit, leave noon. Well, about 3 o'clock, I heard this damn sound of what in the world is it? Trucks coming out, pulling out, and I opened the curtains, and all I could see is like an ocean. It rained all night, and it was just water. That field was full of water. And them fifth wheels, them campers, them guys just pulled them out of there. And they could get through it pretty good. But we sat there till afternoon, they canceled the show, and we had to get a big 4-wheel drive to pull us out. But and then when we went out to Boone that first time, I think they had to cancel the show the second day of that or third day of it because it rained.
That's
So
probably why they
what's
quit
bad.
moving it. Well, now it would have to rain a lot to cancel a Farm Progress Show.
Well, Boone out there, that's where it's at. Or not Boone, yeah.
Yeah.
They had to cancel it.
Well, everything now is pavement out there. The
Parking
aisleway,
lot-
the parking lot's not now.
The parking lots. They had to cancel the second day. And they was telling, we left early, they was telling people to get out of the campground if you could. So they canceled the second day. So that's what's, makes it rough for the manufacturers. I mean, you spend a
I
lot
think
of
it'll be
money.
interesting to see what the turnout is this year.
At Farm Progress.
Yeah.
Well, this year it's in Decatur, so
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that's the more populated show usually.
Yeah, probably.
It's more centrally located for row crop, I believe.
I didn't think there was a whole lot of people at Boone last year until we went to get in line to get the golf cart.
Yeah, there was a few people there.
And it rained while we were in line.
The best part, or not the best part, we don't have to go, but the outdoor shows, they usually have a demonstration. And that's always neat if you go to it, but it don't seem like we've made it to too many of them.
We went last year.
Did we?
Yeah, I remember watching last year.
Okay.
Watch combines.
That's one of the things I think separates
I
our
guess.
local show, the Farm Science Review. It hurts it and helps it. That show is the third week of September. It's a very realistic demonstration. At Farm Progress, this is in August. They have to defoliate most of the corn and beans they're harvesting because it's in August.
I couldn't tell you the last time I was in the field demos at Farm Science, though.
Yeah, but usually we're not there long.
No,
and
we're there for a day.
Yeah,
half day.
we've always went. Even in like this year, we've been harvesting for 2 weeks. We still went. It's just what is it? An hour and a half.
Hour for here, a little over.
So
And we've
Depends on
always
who's
taken a
driving.
day.
yeah,
There was a couple of years there when we'd built the land tracker, the planter. They took it up there, and I went up and run it. Planting corn with a stacker and a strip till.
What in the hell are you talking about?
this would have been when you were in high school.
97.
Well,
We bought
after high school.
6 or 7. We got the I want to say
You
the
talking about that air seeder that you guys
No, he's talking about the Kinsey
planter.
planter.
Remember, it was Kinsey units, but it had the land tracker on it.
No, I don't remember that.
This was the planter before the first John Deere.
Okay.
Had the folding stacker bar on 12 row. And we took it up there, Lynn took it up there, and I run it and just showed people planting on strip till. I think we did that twice, so I was up there every day then.
Okay.
But that's the other time I think.
Yep.
But anyway, that's,
Visitors.
Yep. Back to action.
I don't know, anything new. Everybody asks me anything new. Well, there's a lot of new stuff. But
One
nothing
thing
really
about-
stood out.
Most of the shows, the same vendors are in the same place every year.
Usually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everybody, anything, you see anything new? And I mean, I ask you the same thing, you guys, anything new? The big equipment is big equipment, and sure, they'll make subtle changes to it every year, and they might have some latest and greatest.
I'll be honest. This year at Louisville, there was no latest and greatest. Like everything that was there.
Everything
been
is
out.
just small, subtle
Yeah.
changes, incremental.
Well, that and we go to a lot of shows because of the nature of what we do now. If you were only going to Louisville,
Right.
or if you were only going to Farm Progress Show, or if you were only going to Commodity Classic, it'd probably be different. To me, I had seen everything large equipment wise at that show that was there. I'd already seen it before. But one thing that I do always find different is the smaller vendors. It's
That's where the biggest changes are. I
it's
think.
very easy to get caught up in looking at the big machinery, and then you have, especially at Farm Progress, there's just tents and tents of smaller vendors. And I'll be honest, I don't make it into those tents very often.
And it's hard to get through them when you get in there.
Yeah, and it's also hot.
Yes.
But like Louisville this year, there was a few things we seen in the smaller vendors
Okay.
that I hadn't seen before, and they'd been there before. I just had not had the chance to walk past them.
There's still things I missed.
Yeah.
Going back and look at some of the guys that put it on YouTube, I missed that.
You
I
know
never
what?
seen that. What was the guy, the storm chaser? I never seen him.
Yeah, I seen where his
Vehicle.
was. It was pretty neat. Yeah.
So every year since I've been back and going to Louisville with you guys, every year I've taken a picture with the little grain bins and the leg that the guys built.
Oh, in the West Wing.
Yeah, clear back in there in the cavern. And I kind of missed that this year.
Oh, I
Should've told me how to
picture.
get you one.
Added tar or something. Wasn't it?
Mason's
had a
had a
few
picture every year he's been
Yeah,
there.
I should have took a picture of it.
Yep.
It was a little different.
A couple years ago, he had a raccoon he was hiding. And if you could, I think he was giving away something, candy or something, if you could find the raccoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was neat. Yeah, then they have a big toy display out front in the lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was there.
I never made it upstairs this year, and I haven't for the last 5.
You're not missing much.
Yeah.
I think a lot of crafts for ladies up there.
No,
That's where the toys are. In.
I think the FFA kids love it.
Okay.
You know,
It's elbow to elbow.
the one wing, at one wing there where yield, whatever it is,
Yield 360.
that was wings for
Oh,
craft stuff. That's
in
where
between
your mom
there?
always went and met with them. Angela, she made her friends down there, Angela, and they had crafts and stuff. Now I think they've moved it upstairs. I know they didn't like it at the time.
Yeah, I think it's all upstairs.
Yeah.
We've tried to, like Mason wants to go up there because that's where, like he said, that's where the toys and like the T-shirts and stuff like that are. And you get up there and it's elbow to elbow, and if you're not even claustrophobic, you will be when you get up there.
Yeah. So, how has the farm shows changed for you since we started doing YouTube?
Well, you see more people know you or want to talk. That's you know,
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Thank everybody stopped, and you know it's a walk around with you. It's a challenge to get it through sometimes. You know, people want to stop, talk,
Yeah.
take pictures. I enjoy talking to people, and that's just
Yeah, that's one thing that we're very social creatures
Yes.
when we get out and amongst people. We don't see a lot of people at home, so
And I never seen just a few other YouTubers I knew of. We knew.
Yeah.
But then watching some YouTube now, there's several. I mean, gobs. Everybody's getting into it.
Yeah.
Videos. I was here, this and that, and I've heard of them, but I didn't see them. Of course, they wouldn't recognize them anyway. Maybe, but
one thing about
looking at
there's
something else. I'm looking at something else and walk right by somebody, or you know.
yeah, there's a lot of young YouTubers. There's a lot of TikTok stars. I know like Dad's generation. I don't think a lot of those people use TikTok. So I don't quite know all that crowd. The Twitter crowd. There's a big influencer circle of Twitter people. I don't know a lot of those people, but it is pretty interesting to see different people's take on the show and what they find interesting and whatnot. So there's always some good trip videos after the shows if you miss them. So
But I can't get over the older people. I mean, older people. You know, my age and older watch
Yeah.
You know, next year all three of us will take a camera and just see how different like what we find interesting down there is.
are you editing it?
No, I thought that's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I just talked into the camera and it magically showed up on YouTube.
yeah, I'll edit it. There it is. Put it on there.
Yeah, I bet.
Might be a choice word there, here and there, but
That's the least of my worries.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So do you think you will go back next year?
well, maybe we'll get around. Well,
Yeah. BJ, you think you'll make it next year?
Yeah, I don't
I mean, do you still find value in going to them, I guess, as a producer, not as influencer or anything like that? Do you still find value in going to shows?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when it's in February and we produce grain.
Yeah. Yeah.
if I was younger,
If we had livestock, I would have a hard time.
I'd love to go overseas. That big one over there if I was younger. But,
Well, the problem,
Technica, is that
well,
what
the
it is?
problem with that, so we've had an open invite the last two times.
You don't have a passport, and neither do I.
Well, the problem is it's also the first or second week in November. We're never done harvesting.
I thought
Seems like we got something going on there.
Yeah.
you had to have a passport.
Yes.
They typically, yes, they require one of those, yes.
Maybe I'll have to talk to Uncle Donald and see if he'll let me go.
I don't think he's the problem.
Oh.
I think it's you're gonna have to have a passport to get in the other country. Yeah.
Well, I guess I ain't going over there.
Yeah, that kind of shot that in the foot for you.
Yeah, unless they make out of state.
I don't think so, but anyways,
Entirely different podcast.
yeah, that was not a popular topic amongst the Canadians at the farm show.
I could, you know what, if the shoe was on the other foot, it would not be a popular topic for the Americans either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I
Yeah,
mean, as a patriot, yeah,
yeah,
that would be, that'd make you feel some kind of way, wouldn't it?
yep, it sure would.
Well, it got people talking.
Anyways, I think that's all we have for this week's episode on farm shows. So let us know your opinion of them. Do you think they're still a valuable thing to go to, or do you think they're kind of overrated and you can see everything on YouTube or other means? Like I said, we've kind of stated our opinion. Personally, we still like them. We still plan on going. In fact, Kayla and I will be going to Commodity Classic next week if anyone's there. So,
You are?
yeah.
Staying home and Honkhorn?
See?
I'll try to get it all done while I'm going.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah. So what's next week's podcast? That?
Well, we're going to have to do one ahead of next week because I'll probably be in Denver this time next week.
Oh.
We might just leave this stuff set up and do it tomorrow.
Now he tells us.
Me and BJ can handle it.
Tomorrow, our topic will be taxes.
Yes, it'll be fun. It'll be a great time. That's not our podcast topic tomorrow, but it'll be something. I want to try to get a guest on here. I'm hoping to get George to sit down with us.
Yeah, I bet everybody like to hear George.
Well, I've always wanted to interview him, and I just haven't done it. So, see if we can't get that lined up. But let us know if you have any other suggestions or people you'd like to see on the show.
If you can talk George into it, make sure you get him a plate.
Eat on camera?
Yes.
I don't know who went out.
Yeah.
Yes, right into the mic.
Yeah. Yeah. But all right, folks, thanks for watching, and we will we'll see you next week.